Hello, and welcome, my friends, to the next video in the Create Better Content series, where I show you how to tap into your creativity to stay consistent with your marketing and reach more customers. My name is Penny, and I'm going to guide you through this content development process because I think it has more to do with than just trying to figure out how we're going to have more engagement on our posts. Marketing is here for you to reach qualified customers. And there's more to all this marketing stuff than just how many views and can I go viral this week. So that's what we're doing here in these videos every single week. And if you want to learn more about how all of this stuff can help you develop your content marketing plans, I would love it if you would hit that button below and subscribe to this channel. And below in the description box, there are several links. One of them is for the Content Prompt Playbook. This is a free resource. I know you're already using AI tools. This free download will give you 20 plug-and-play prompts. They're idea-sparking type questions to help you connect your expertise to what your customers need to know about in your marketing messages. And the next link, or one of the many links that you're going to see, is so that you can join us in the Marketing Strategy Collective program. And you can personally go through this process alongside me and other like-minded business owners, where you can get the help you need in an online group space. We actually had our meeting this morning, and we were talking about LinkedIn and how to use it as a sales tool. So it's so much more than just understanding, how AI prompts work. It's about how they work for your business. So you see the links below, you know what to do to learn more. All right, so today's video, I do want to talk a little bit about what we were talking about in this morning's meeting of the Marketing Strategy Collective. This month we have been focusing on the power of small habits, which is what led us into the whole LinkedIn strategy that I'm sharing with them. And so one of the things that I wanted to talk about is that we're finding ourselves becoming more reliant upon our AI tools, and not just for writing copy, because when you start to understand the intelligent factor that goes behind you asking it a question and it coming back with a response, you start to see more and more uses for these tools. And so when we talked about habits today, we also started talking about productivity, and we started talking about how to use AI to help us in this, to help us keep moving forward. And one of the things that had come up was, how are we using it? And so there was the question of, do we just reach out to AI and say, make me a to-do list so I can finally get organized? And I can see that if you're doing that, I would totally do that, because you're so not alone, because I'm hearing it in my collective group, I'm hearing it from my clients, I'm hearing it from everybody, because that's a really common way that people are using AI. But it's really interesting that when you're asking it to do this kind of stuff, it looks helpful, it looks productive. But here's the thing that I want to talk about today. The problem with looking at AI as your productivity app is this: AI doesn't have to live your life. You do. AI doesn't know what it's like when the client calls unexpectedly on its perfectly planned schedule, and now all of a sudden you just got knocked off of where you thought you were 2 hours ago into something completely different, and you have something else that's coming up that's on a deadline. AI doesn't know what it feels like to do that. AI probably doesn't know that at a certain time every day your energy crashes. AI doesn't know that you've got stuff going on with your family. You're trying to figure out bookkeeping and your website and 20 other things going on. So when you ask AI to create the perfect schedule for you, it creates the perfect schedule for you. And you've got time sense. You've got, this is going to happen, and this will happen, and you'll do this, and you'll do this, and you'll do this. And it's this perfect schedule for a perfect person who lives in a perfect world, and this perfect thing doesn't exist. because your schedule, your life, your business is built around you, especially if you are a solopreneur and you are 100% everything in your business. So today I want to talk to you about a completely different way to use AI, and not just about, building your schedule. I want you to take that a step further, because this is the stuff that we're talking about in the Marketing Strategy Collective today. It's about building habits. It's not about being perfect and getting as much done as you possibly can. It's about habits, and habits that work with your personality and how you work, and not going against it. Because if there's anything that I've learned with working with hundreds and hundreds of business owners, is that the best amazing business system isn't the most fancy and impressive one, and it doesn't cost thousands of dollars for you to sign up to this program. It's the one that you're going to be still using 6 months from now. It's the one that you're going to continue to build momentum on in your business, because you've developed this habit, and it's things that you're going to actually follow. So if I asked you to write down everything that you do every week, you would probably fill several pages of it. Marketing, sales, client work, emails, social media, networking, dealing with the financial stuff, websites, content creation, admin work, following up, fill in the blank. And I'm sure that there was a whole bunch of things that I didn't just list right now that are on your list. You do not need AI to remind you that you have work to do. I think you already know that. But I think the real question becomes, when we're looking at these kinds of things, when we're thinking about these small habits that are going to build momentum with grow our business, maybe the real question is more about what deserves my attention, and what are habits that are consistently happening over time that I could streamline and automate. Because when we start to automate and we start to streamline these habits, we remove the decision from it. And fewer decisions mean less mental exhaustion. That's the word I'm looking for. Mental exhaustion. I mean, think about this. Think about the last time that you sat down with a new planner, or you downloaded a productivity app, or you got all fancy on Pinterest and decided to color code your calendar, right? How long did that last? Was it like a week or two? Or did you go a whole month? Did you make it a month? I bet you didn't. Because you know why? I know why. Because I see this all the time. If you were with me like 15 years ago, or no, maybe it was, yeah, because it was 15 years ago, one of my titles that I referred to myself was a productivity coach. So I know why. I know why that you stopped using that planner and that color-coded calendar, or whatever it was you were using, because life happened. Because a client needed something. Because your child got sick. Or maybe an unexpected thing happened that you thought that was going to happen. It wasn't going to happen, and it completely knocked you off track for everything for a whole week. Maybe you got sick, and you were sick for weeks. Things happen. And what happens is the schedule breaks. And we're like, this doesn't work. I'm not going to use this anymore. But maybe that schedule wasn't the problem, or the planner, or the productivity app. Because the schedules, just like AI, assume that your life is predictable. But when we function off of the idea of creating habits, and we're creating these processes, they assume that your life is messy. A schedule says at exactly 9 a.m. every morning, you're going to be sitting your butt in the seat and you're going to be writing your content. A habit says at some point in the morning time, you will spend 20 minutes focused on writing today's content. That's a habit. One was so rigid, had to be at 9 o'clock every single morning, and this is what you're going to do. The other one is like sometime in the morning, this is going to happen. That other one creates consistency. because it's a habit. Maybe it happened at 9:30, maybe it happened at 10:45, but it happened in the morning and it created consistency. And when we look at it like that, that is one of the biggest shifts I want you to make. Because if you're asking AI what you should do, what should I do now? How do I do this? How do I create this? It's going to come back with one of those perfect schedules that don't exist in a real world. So instead of just saying, create my marketing routine so that I can launch this program, try giving it some context. Try saying something along the lines of, my goal is to grow my business, and I work with clients throughout the day. My mornings are my highest energy time. My afternoons are unpredictable because my energy gets low, and then I have to go pick up my kids from school, so I can't really say how much time I have sitting at my desk. And I can realistically dedicate about 30 minutes in the morning time between 10 a.m. and 12 p.m. every weekday that we can focus on marketing. So help me build a daily marketing habit that fits this schedule. Do you see how different that was between create my marketing routine? I wasn't asking AI to invent something perfect that I wasn't going to be able to fulfill, maybe not even after a week. What I was inviting it to do was I was sharing my life with it. This is what happens. I've got kids I got to pick up after school. This is when I have high energy. This is the time that I'm working. This is what I need to do. And when you share that information, that's where better ideas for this productivity, for this schedule come from. Because I think what's happening is we're always trying to optimize everything that we're doing. We're optimizing our time. There's, time blocking. There's all of these productivity things that we could be doing. And while we're dealing with these apps and trying to figure them out and try to figure out how we're going to make them work into our world, we're still struggling to stay consistency just to send a follow-up email. So progress isn't going to come from having a detailed Excel spreadsheet. It's much simpler than that. It's a habit. It's two habits. And we start stacking our habits on top of each other. Repeat again and again. It's rinse and repeat again and again. So instead of asking AI, how should I organize my week for my marketing, why don't we ask it, what's a 20-minute habit that would create a more long-term impact on my business? Well, that's a really interesting conversation, because this is where AI starts to become incredibly valuable, because it's not just helping you build habits, it's helping you learn how to incorporate them into your world, learn how to make sure that they stay consistent with it, learn how to make sure that this is going to get done. And when we work from that place, we're not getting generic information, because not everybody's going to work the same way. Some of them are energized by having conversations. Some people need quiet time for a certain amount of time so that they can then take their energy and use it output in different areas. Some people create better in the mornings. Some people are like late night people. Everybody's different. And so if we're trying to force ourselves into somebody else's productivity system, that is when things start to fall apart. But when we use AI to design habits around your life, around your routines, around your rhythm and your energy, that's when the schedule is not perfect, but it works for you. So if you think about it like that, you can say, based on what I've shared with you about the way that I work, what types of marketing habits are most likely to feel natural for me? That's going to be an amazing conversation that you're going to have. Because now what you're doing is you're not talking to a productivity app who is making you sit down, do this, do this, do this, and if you not, you failed. What you're doing is you're building a system that matches the way you work instead of fighting against it. So if we don't think about habits in isolation, we think about these things as a system. Like you have a daily habit. Every day you log on to LinkedIn and you have one conversation. And then maybe you have a weekly habit. And the weekly habit is something like every Friday afternoon you check your email statistics to see how many people signed up to your email list. And then you have a monthly habit. Monthly habits, you go through a whole marketing review that takes you an hour of your time so that you can check all your numbers, you can see what's happening on your website, you have a clear picture of what was working, what wasn't working. Those are habits. And these habits are what create the system, part of your marketing system. And I know you're just sitting here saying, but yeah, if I just check a conversation, or yeah, I'm just checking my emails, it's just a thing on my to-do list. But it's not a thing on your to-do list if it's something that happens every single Friday. If it's something that happens every single morning between 10 a.m. and 11 a.m. That, my friends, is a habit. So if you can ask AI to create a simple habit system that supports you and your marketing without becoming overwhelming, that's much more valuable than the random checklist of saying, okay, here we go. I got this to do, and I got this to do, and I got this to do today. Because when we look at people who are successful, we look at businesses that have been around for years and are continued to stay out in front of us and have continued to show visibility, we know that many of them aren't relying on the fact that they're working 24/7. That's not happening. What's happening is they have developed good habits. They have looked at ways to create a system that removes friction and unnecessary extra steps and decisions. They've simplified their process, and it's simplified so much in such a way that if they were to bring on a virtual assistant, all they'd have to do is type up the steps, and the person could immediately step right in and know exactly what to do because they know the habits that they have been doing. They know, they prepare, they repeat. And AI can help you identify where these steps exist. And it can ask you to create a habit plan. You know, what part of this routine am I making harder on myself? How can I make this easier? And it's something along the lines of, it could be something as simple as, you're doing this manually. Here's a suggestion for 3 different types of apps for you to use to schedule or whatever, or editing or whatever it is that you're using, right? And these become incredibly strategic questions, because it's not just about how am I going to get this done quicker. It's about getting this done because you're staying consistent and your marketing is continuing to be shared. And when we create these kinds of habits and systems, they don't just appear overnight. There's something that evolves. And as your business evolves, your habits begin to evolve. And what happens is, when we think about it from different places, let me give you an example of what I'm talking about. If we think about the habits that helped you land your first 10 clients, are not the same habits that help you scale to 50 of them, right? So that's why we're taking a look at everything. This is not a set it and let it go kind of thing. This is something that you will keep doing, and you'll keep streamlining it. You'll keep optimizing this. You know, it's when we look at this, we're reviewing what we're doing. It's not about reinventing everything every single month, but to ask what's working, what's becoming automatic, what feels forced, what new habit would support the next stage of my business. And AI can help you with this review. It becomes less of a productivity tool when we use it like this, and more of like a strategic coach, and one that's going to help you adapt your system as your business grows. So the next time that you're tempted to just trying to figure out how to ask AI, can you just make me a to-do list because I can't get any of this stuff done? Try another question. Try saying, what's one small habit that would make the biggest difference every single week if I stuck with it? And then invite AI into this conversation. Tell it about your schedule. Tell it about your energy. Tell it about your challenges. Because as we continue to grow our businesses, the idea behind this is not about trying to find the perfect productivity system. It's about creating these habits, and that these habits become so natural you don't even think about them anymore. So when we're using AI to help us, it's not just about saying, hey, design a perfect day for me. It's about helping you build your business in a way that works for you. Because the most effective habit plans and reviews and the things that you're working on isn't the one that's going to be so impressive and it's going to be, 3 sheets on an Excel spreadsheet. It's the one that you're going to be following months from now. It's the one that's years from now are going to have these small, consistent habits that are going to help you build an extraordinary business. So thank you so much for joining me today. If this episode is giving you some ideas about how you can start learning some new skills for your marketing, I would love it if you would hit that like button. And then do me a favor. Hit that share button and send this to another business owner that you know who has been struggling with their productivity, who has been struggling and trying to figure out how to get all of the things done that they need to do to grow their business. And if you are looking for a step-by-step process to actually help you with your business, this month's Marketing Strategy Collective workbook, we dove deep into the power of small habits. It was packed with tools and prompts to help you work through this whole process. So I want you to stop working in a solo bubble and learn what it feels like to work in a collaborative space and get the help you need with your efforts. You see the links below. You know what to do to learn more, to get the marketing help you need, because you are magnificent, my friend. And let me be the first to say, I'm proud of you. Until next time.